Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Twists, the show where we recap your childhood. My name is Joe Lewis, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Anthony Bull.
Hey Joe, how's it going?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
We are joined here today to talk about a children's TV show. As we talk about every week, we talk about Round the Twist and Captain Planet, but this week, we're talking about Round the Twist, Season 3, Episode 13, The Big Rock, which just happens to be the Season 3 season finale.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? We've come so far.
Yep. And risked it all. In the end, nothing ever matters. I don't know. How does it go? Everybody knows it's on.
Yes, we are talking about the season finale. It's called The Big Rock. Do you want to get straight into talking about this? I was going to say influential, but it's not really, is it?
This season,
it's probably the least influential Round the Twist episode that there is. If you think of a Round the Twist episode, you're probably not thinking about this one.
You probably actually even forget about this episode entirely.
Oh, that episode was the thing? Oh, was it?
When you remember the Vikings and Round the Twist, most people will think, wasn't that just one episode? But then you find out, no, when you're rewatching it again, you realize it's an entire season long, and this is the end of that story, completely forgettable. And actually, it's been done, but I don't know if it's been done before this
So much spoiling, Anthony. Yeah. Just giving away.
Giving away that it's been done before is very much a spoiler thing to do, I guess.
Oh, giving away your opinion of the episode before we even talk about it. That's a spoiler.
I haven't given away my opinion yet.
Before we fully get set out on our journey to discuss this episode, we want to refer to some feedback from listener Regan Pontillo, who writes in every week for a segment we like to call Pontifications with Pontillo, or Pontillo's Pontifications, if you will. And he writes in every week, and you can do it too if you join the Chicken Twisties Facebook page and send us your feedback about the episode. And Regan's written in quite in depth this week, and we're just going to go through a bit of that before we start the actual episode. And he says, you discussed in the previous podcast, Tears of Innocence, that you were interested in how many times the Viking Book of Love changed hands, who read the poems, who had the poems to read, who had the poems read to them. So, I've created a timeline. In episode 2, Viking Book of Love, Snorrison explained to Linda that there were only 12 poems left. And then after that, the spell turns into a curse. He's not including the poem Snorrison read to Fiona, because that's the initial one, as he explained that there were 12 poems left after reading that one to her. So now he's got a list of all the times that the poems were read and who they were read to. So you want to just go through this really quickly?
Yeah, you can go through it.
Well, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Well,
obviously, I'm the one with the list in front of me.
Yeah, so I can't see the list.
You can see through our recording box.
I can't see it at all. We have to show the Twisties, Chicken Twisties, our recording box so they can go, right. Well,
some high-tech equipment there.
Yeah, high-tech equipment.
Anthony has put together this recording box. It's a plastic container that he's stuffed with cotton wool and some sort of foam, and we stick our microphone in the middle of that to try and mask the 10,000 trucks that go past on the main road that Anthony lives on.
Yes, I call it the I'm cheap option, because I can't afford it, but I don't want to.
So we start with Poem 1 in Episode 3, The Whirling Dervish. Faye finds the Viking Book of Love in Linda's room, and she reads the poem to Tony. Poem 2 was read in Episode 4, and Pete gets possession of the Viking Book of Love, presumably from Linda's room. I guess we're not really sure how that exactly happens, and Pete reads that poem to Fiona. And Poem 3 is read in Episode 5, Truth Hits Everybody. Linda takes back the Viking Book of Love, presumably from Fiona, in Episode 4. You am I am you. Remember that episode?
You am I am you.
Bronson finds the Viking Book of Love in Linda's room, and then Bronson reads the poem to himself in the mirror. And he becomes infatuated with himself, as the Viking Book of Love does work.
Of course.
Poem 5 was in Episode 6, The Neanderthal Beast, and the matron takes possession of the Viking Book of Love from James, and she reads the poem to Harold, although we don't witness it on screen. In Poem 6, that's in Episode 7, Malibu, and James gets possession of the Viking Book of Love from his parents' safe. He steals it, gives it to Rabbit in order to sell to Nell, and Rabbit reads the poem to Nell, accidentally making her fall in love with him. Episode 8 has Poem 7, in which Linda gets possession of the Viking Book of Love. Anthony takes the Viking Book of Love out of Linda's school bag, and he reads the poem to Linda to make her brain fall in love with him. You remember when they were hopping around?
Yep.
Poem 8 is Toy Love. James takes possession of the Viking Book of Love and tricks Linda into reading it out in class. Linda reads the poem in class, which then affects James Gribble. Mm-hmm. It makes him fall in love with her, and then Linda starts to fall in love with him because, shenanigans. Poem 9 appears in Tears of Innocence. Ralph takes possession of the Viking Book of Love after confiscating it from Linda, and then reads the poem to Faye. And then that's kind of where we end up. So that's 9 poems. So Regan has some reflection on this, and he says, after constructing the timeline, I realised that only 9 out of 12 remaining poems were actually used. As the trail of the Viking Book of Love is pretty consistent throughout the episodes in Season 3, I can only think of one logical conclusion. And I thought this as well. Ralph must have read 3 more poems to Faye between episode 10 and the current episode, which is episode 13. But the rules aren't explained or laid out for reading more than one poem to the same person. Is it actually possible to use up another poem after reading it to someone who is already affected? If so, does it provide a stronger effect, perhaps? Feel free to discuss your own theories. And I do feel free to discuss those theories, Regan. What do you think, Anthony?
I think it just has the same effect.
So just recapping quickly, Ralph's reading the same poem to Faye over and over again. That's the only thing that I can think of.
The reason why I can
well.
say it is why would happen is Faye falls in love with Snapper. Snapper makes his book. Now, Faye then asks, just like how everyone else wants to hear Snapper's poem being read, Faye wants to hear another poem. And Snapper, I think, is aware of it now, but he does it anyway because he's not sure. It's like a null effect in his mind. He doesn't know about the curse. So if he just reads the love poem again, what does it matter? Because this person was already in love with me, and then when they hear it again, the spell will just be there again. I don't think it has the Viking Book of Love. We've never seen any type of wane in the spell's effect. So there's no, I'm conflicted. The only one we've ever seen something similar was with Faye's inner true emotions in, what was it? If Walls Could Talk.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because we've never seen the Book of Love applied to someone for such a period of time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was explained in one of the early episodes that it will last forever, but we don't know that for sure. At least I don't with my terrible memory. Maybe the poems have an expiry date, and Snapper knew this expiry date, and when it would start to wear off, and then we see Faye start to express her real emotions, that's when he has to use another poem.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
The other thing that I just thought of was he's written this book of love poems that presumably he's taken from the Viking Book of Love and then had them published.
Yeah.
Maybe producing each of these books has, cost the book spells. They've just disappeared in his writing them.
Yeah.
Or when he wrote them, it triggered it, as in reading it. Doesn't it?
Yeah. Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
That's some form of theory there. Thanks, Regan. That was good. Good work. Thanks for that. More on that later.
Yes.
So we start the actual episode, and we normally start with a teaser to tell us a little bit about what's going to happen in the episode. And this week we have lightning on a mountain island, and there's some sort of diamond. I thought it was maybe an engagement ring. It's like a little. We find out later it's a lightning magnet.
Yeah.
And lightning hits it, and we get the title up on the screen, and the title says The Big Rock, which I thought, was leading to a joke about marriage and engagement rings, because the love between Snorrison and Helga, and also mirrored with Tony and Faye, with the Snapper love triangle thrown in there.
I was thinking something else.
What were you thinking?
It's another word that rhymes with rock.
What word rhymes with rock, Anthony?
Oh, Doc.
Doc Martin.
Yeah, the big Doc. Is that right? Yeah, the big Doc. The big giant Doc. Yeah.
The big Doc. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you now.
Go back one, guys.
Go back one? What one are we going back, Anthony?
Just shift those syllables around.
The diamond, after struck by lightning, builds this magical bridge to a door that opens, and a Viking woman comes out onto this island, which we later find out is just a cliff, and takes the rock. And she says, Snorrison, you will be mine. And she starts heading to the lighthouse, and there's a voice booms out from the door telling her to be back home by sunset. And if you turn your back, I'll teach you a lesson. She keeps walking away, and then lightning destroys the mountain that she was standing on.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, that's a thing that happened. And Pontillo says, it's apparent that Thor, the mythical Norse god, created the bridge through time with the aid of lightning to send Helga into the present day. Now, this is the thing I don't get about this episode.
Yeah.
For what purpose? Is it just to retrieve the book? Because we find out a little bit later that Helga has come to retrieve the book in order to make Snorrison love her, which apparently he already does.
Yeah, that's why I found it really weird. I was like, hang on, they already love each other. Why do they need the book?
I don't know.
There's no... We never saw a development like in the other seasons where the ghost would be there.
Yes.
And they were poorly developed as well. But they could have had like the Norse gods or some gathering storm clouds or something about how this use of the poem is causing some issues.
Yeah.
Which is the real reason why you should send someone back there. It's like, the curses are coming out of this book. You need to rescue it from these idiots in the 20th century who are abusing it. So Helga, you need to go back, get the book because it belongs to you and Snorri's son. I don't know why Snorri's son can't go there.
Yes.
But whatever. Just Helga's fine. But for the purpose of just trying to make Snorri's son fall in love, it doesn't make any sense.
No, you're right. Because normally in the finale episodes, there's a problem that needs to be fixed. There's something usually that's going to happen with the lighthouse directly connected to the lighthouse because we are around the twist and everything happens around the lighthouse.
Yeah.
There's a problem that has to be fixed. The twists need to do something to intervene to help the paranormal fix whatever problem it is.
Yeah.
So in season 1, the bad guys were going to blow up the lighthouse and the ghosts helped the twists do it. In season 2, the ghosts were going to kill everyone or something.
No,
what was going on there? They were trying to get the ghost ship back, and they were possessing people to do it.
They were trapped in the lighthouse.
Yeah, they were trapped in the lighthouse.
It was like the it was like it was 100 years after that whatever it was, the port SS Niranda sunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the twist had to help them open the bridge to get the ghosts back. Whatever. And this episode, who knows? But let's dive into that a little bit more with a classic car rolling up to the lighthouse, and it's Snapper and Faye. So this is the yellow car that Snap bought a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
Because he's rich now from selling all his
love
poems by Snapper the Bard. And they're still in love with each other in this weird little yellow car, and they can't like get out of it properly because it doesn't have doors.
And that's, you know what, it's yellow, and it's, I don't know if I said this in a previous episode, but that's Faye's colour.
Why is Faye's colour yellow?
Which a lot of the things that she wears are yellow
you
throughout
think,
the season.
Is it just this season, or is it in all the seasons combined?
Just this season. Like, I think the other seasons she was blue, but at least this season she was yellow, because I think she was wearing a CFA uniform a lot.
Ah, okay.
But she was still wearing that colour.
What is the significance of yellow as a colour? Me being a colourblind person, I don't really understand the psychological impact of colours.
Well, it really depends. It's contextual, but yellow can be things such as ecstasy and happiness, but it can also be anxiety and fear.
Okay.
So, potentially for CFA...
That's interesting that you say that, because the Viking Book of Love poem that's cast on her kind of creates that combination of those two feelings that you described.
Yeah.
So she's got ecstasy and happiness of being in love with Snapper, but also the suppressed underlying anxiety of fear of being attracted and loving somebody that you detest and despise.
But if it depends on someone like Snapper, the colour yellow could be symbolic of his weakness as a man. Like, he's not... It's compensating for that weakness that he has, and it's signifying that he is actually relatively weak in the old yellow belly.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting reading. The Twist kids are watching from above in the lighthouse, and they're discussing the recovery of the Viking Book of Love. So they're like, oh, do you think he's brought it? I don't know, maybe. They've got this plan, finally, after however many episodes, to win this book back. I think it would be 4, right? Because the spell was cast in 10, so that's all of 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Yeah.
So 3, really. But they've spent all this time doing what? Coming up with this dumb plan. Faye's downstairs, and she expresses her concern about going into the lighthouse. Like, is Tony okay with this? And Snapper's like, oh yeah, it's cool. He invited us to come, whatever. And Snap knocks on the door, and there's no answer. And they both enter, and it's really dark inside the lighthouse. This is the darkest we've ever seen the lighthouse. Is this symbolic of the place in Tony's heart? It's just black with darkness.
That is true. Exactly right. And then when Faye enters the room, what happens?
The lights come on and the twists jump out. And it's a surprise party. And the Gribble Gang are here too for whatever reason. Because everyone here, including Nell, who we see for about 5 seconds. She is in this episode, right? Yeah, because she gets taken later. But she's here. Everyone's here and they're all interested in one thing. This surprise party and maybe an ulterior motive.
Ooh.
So that's 2 things, not one thing. But Rabbit asks, has Snap brought the love poems? But also, congratulations, because it's your wedding tomorrow. When did this happen? Snapper and Faye getting married. This is the first we've heard of this, right?
Yes, it is absolutely the first we heard of it. Maybe it's Snapper trying to secure his... What do you call him?
Well,
His captured woman. That's the only way I can say it, is he's caught her, and he's like, well, if I marry her, then that's That's locked in. That's a locked-in relationship.
This is coming from a person, mind you, that you in the past on the podcast have talked about your marriage as a gathering of resources. So let's not to be too hasty with the accusations here.
Well, I'm not saying look, but it is. It's true. It's like marriage is a gathering of resources. So it's a locking down of your investments.
Snapper is locking down his investments here with marriage.
The difference is I got mine fairly squarely. He went out and captured his investment by force, which is not good.
No. The interesting thing about this wedding thing, I thought, was if Faye snaps out of her spell, which she is bound to sooner or later, if she snaps out of that while they're married, what impact is that going to have on her and her relationship? Because obviously she's just going to leave him, right?
Yeah.
But then, is that going to damage Tony? Because assumably she's already slept with Snapper, so being married would make a big difference. But then she's divorced and then going back to Tony. Do you think, what kind of impact is this going to have?
It depends on how long. I feel like Tony would definitely he would accept Faye back if there was if there was short enough time, because he may have moved on.
Yeah,
but I wonder if Faye would take half of Snapper's money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
She probably would.
She probably would,
and she probably deserves more of it because he
did some pretty terrible things.
He did some terrible things. In fact, the fact that if he would have any money after the divorce would be, I don't know what you call it, it'd be mercy if he had anything left.
I think it's interesting that you say that Tony would move on, because I don't think that he necessarily would in a short period of time. Over a really long period of time,
that's what I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, a long period of time.
But, because of this whole Viking Book of Love thing, that's kept the hope alive. If it wasn't the Viking Book of Love, then sure, he probably would have moved on by now, or started to move on. Like, all right, she's with another person, I need to move on with my own life. But because that hope is being kept alive is that healthy or unhealthy? I can't make comment based on this scenario. But that feeling he has towards Faye is less likely to die because that's still that undercurrent that, she might come back. And I think that's what damages a lot of people. Especially when they get on these mixed up things, these love triangle nonsense things that happen, where somebody leaves that person and then gives them hope that, they might come back. And so it's hard for that person who's been left to move on with their life because, there's still that kind of unresolved issue there, even though it probably is resolved. Like, that's probably as far as that relationship is going to go, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Helga rocks up the door. Big bang on the door. There's a Viking woman here. It's Helga.
And a weird green screen effect.
Yeah.
Or blue screen.
Why was it green screened here? It's just the lighthouse. Couldn't they have just shot it there?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I was like, because I was stopping it and I was looking at it, I was like, that's pretty fake. I don't understand. Like, I thought maybe they would be like, when they'd look out again, like the green screen would have changed dramatically while she was there. Actually, like, with the power of 4.
Was there much of the lighthouse in this shot? Because the interior of the lighthouse is definitely a set.
We know
right?
that. Because
we know that.
From Phil's expedition.
It goes around the wrong way. It's a different spiral.
Yeah.
It's clockwise instead of anti-clockwise, or maybe the other way around. Who knows?
And there's no kitchen and stuff?
Yeah.
Something?
So the inside's definitely a set. We know that. If they're showing some of the inside and the outside, they have to, use some sort of technology to put them both in the same shot. Otherwise, obviously, you can't do that because they're not in the same place.
Oh, so they would have done it so because it would have cost too much, or it would have been too difficult to set up going to the lighthouse for just that shot when you could just green screen it?
I don't know. I can't make comment. I guess maybe I don't know. Tony doesn't know what she's talking about. When she asks for the book, I need the book. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, see ya. Even though, what is he trying to do? Get the book back off Snapper. All right, put 2 and 2 together, Tony. I know you're an artist, but surely you're capable of that. And Pete is trying to convince Snapper to read a poem. He's like, Snapper will really read one of your famous love poems. Do it, mate. Why would Snapper do it? Why would he do it? Because he's just easily influenced, I guess.
He's an easily influenced, impressionable, weak man who likes the opinion and praise of others.
It's very interesting that the director, Espen Storm, or one of the main directors around the twist, he directed a lot of the season 1 and 2 episodes. I don't know how much his impact was in season 3. I have to check that on the wiki. But why has he, maybe it wasn't his decision, but he's playing, the weakest character when he's perhaps, you could say, the strongest person behind the scenes?
Humility.
Humility?
Or forced humility. You know, when you take on a role of authority and direction, it can often be, there's often this feeling that you need to put yourself down in order to not appear to be way above everyone else. Just because you're the director, you're the leader. It's like, oh, look, Snapper. You know, it's like, let's make fun of Snapper. I can do it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Because you're not allowed to be proud of yourself or something.
Is that an Australian sensibility, or is this just a human being sensibility? I know it's definitely Australian, but I don't know about overseas.
I reckon it's definitely Australian, and which I don't really like. I find that to be quite annoying because it sort of suppresses, what is it? What's that drive? That
ego?
Success.
Yeah.
The drive or urge for success.
Yes.
I mean, ego is not a great thing, but it can lead to good things.
No, why are you saying that ego is not a good thing? Because ego is just, a drive of the self. How is that not a good thing?
Overinflated egos.
That's like anything. If you're saying like an overinflated phallus, that can be a bad thing.
Well, it can be a bad thing, right? Yeah, it would probably be elephantitis or something.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that is good, if you have too much of it, it can be bad.
So I think like in America, it's not just a common cultural thing, but in some areas it is, where being proud of yourself, I'm number one, yeah. It can be quite annoying, can be obnoxious, but it can lead you to try more, be more successful. So there's drawbacks and there's positives.
There's also this thing where if you don't do that, if you're not humble, people are going to try and bring you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you're the leader, you've got to, be brought down to our level.
And when you mess up, it's like Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another knock on the door, and Bronson answers. It's Helga. Great costume. And she says, where book? And he says, sorry, I've never heard of it. Are these people just dumb?
Yeah, they are.
Are we supposed to get from this? Is she asking them, where's the book? Is she asking them that in whatever language is her own? Norwegian, Swedish, wherever she comes from, Greenlandian?
Yeah, I think so. Where is book? Book is where? Imagine if someone comes to your door dressed as, maybe not a Viking, like maybe you're not tuned in, but there's some guy dressed in like fur and stuff, and he goes, book. Where be book? And you're like,
well, if I was inside trying to get a book from an effeminate school teacher named Snapper, then I would probably know what book he was talking about.
Well, I don't know.
Especially if said book was magic.
But he's at the front door. You're not going to let him in.
No, you're not going to let him in, but you're going to know what he's talking about.
No, I'm not. Book. What book?
I know the book. What? I'm trying to get it off Snapper.
10 minutes ago, there was some other guys trying to give me this book. They were well dressed and wore ties and had this black sign on their shirts, and they were like, book, would you want the book? Is that the book you want?
What book is it? Is it Atlas Shrugged? Because I would definitely take that book.
Yes.
Snapper, he opens this big locked box that he carries around with him, and he pulls out another locked box, and he opens that locked box, and he pulls out the Viking Book of Love. And so he opens it, and he prepares to read one to the love of his life. And apparently, she's the reason he has his car. Does that mean he's stolen money from her? Or does that mean that he's used his drive of her to forge the Viking Book of Love to sell that to make money to buy the car?
That's, I think, the latter. Also, I think it's a representation of his penis. I'm referencing Stephen Walpole, and you know what? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
Helga knocks down the door. Very violent of her. I know she's a Viking, but, have some class here. And she demands Debóók. And Linda says, is that a restaurant? Come on, Linda.
Yeah, okay, Linda, you know what the book is. You were given the book by some Viking.
Yes.
You're smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, supposedly. I've never had actually... You know, in film we have this thing, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Like, show us it on screen instead of telling it directly to us. We've only ever been told that Linda's smart. I've seen no actual evidence that she is intelligent.
Well, she's supposed to be smart, so... She should be able to put two and two together. She's seen the Vikings, received a Viking Book of Love.
Yes.
She knows that Snapper's reading the Book of Love. So when you hear the book, right, you might go, what? The book! The book! Book! Yes, book. Come on, put two and two together. But Tony doesn't know shit. He is so absent-minded. I can understand him forgetting everything. He'd be like, oh, what are you talking about, man? Where's the book? I don't know.
Smoking too many bongs in the backyard.
He's too many bongs. He's way high, He's bringing him down.
Tony,
man.
are you doing art in there again? No, I'm not doing any art in here. So Helga comes in and she says, no, I want the book to make Snorrison love me so that he can make babies with me in England. Not me, of course. Joe, the speaker, was talking as Helga.
You don't need a book to do that. Shit.
Somebody needs to sit Helga down and give her some sex education.
Well, I guess that's why she needs a book.
Yeah, that's clever. Everyone, they rat out Snapper. They say, hey, look, he's got the book. And Gribble Jr. snatches the book from him and prepares to read one to Fiona. I don't know what his motivation was here. What's he doing? Why would he do that?
Who?
Gribble Jr. Why is he going to, while all this is happening?
Okay, so the reason why?
What?
Gribble Jr. is actually a lot smarter than anyone gives him credit for.
Okay, why?
Gribble Jr. displays a lot of intelligence throughout the entire series. He clues into the fact you've got to follow the twist. So we know that he's got some insight there.
Yeah.
I do believe he's got some intelligence in the fact that he probably could have passed that test. He didn't need to steal it.
Yeah.
But the reason he did it here was because he put 2 and 2 together before anyone else did and thought, that woman there is coming back from this magical book.
Yeah.
I have one shot left. You see, he knows that when you read the book to another person, the spell becomes broken. So if he grabs a book and he reads the spell to Fiona, and then Helga takes the book back to the 8th century, okay, you run on the assumption that they won't cancel each other out because they're in a different realm or something, Fiona will forever be in love with Gribble, and there's nothing anybody can do that. He is basically sees an end game there. Boom, he needs to get the book.
So if I can take your theory, what you're saying is, if you're taking the book and you're using the timeline that the twists exist in, so 8th century, of course, happening before the 20th century,
yeah,
or 21st, I guess, because this was 2003 or something. So that is before that. So if Helga takes that book back to the 8th century, if she casts any more spells, that will be happening in the universe timeline. That will be happening before
Gribble reads it.
Gribble reads the book. But I think the book probably operates on its own timeline. Sure. So even though the book's gone back in time, there would still be another.
But you see,
but at least
Gribble doesn't. Yeah, Gribble doesn't know that. And so in all options being equal, this would all options on the table. This is probably the best move is to take that book and read it as quickly as possible because you will get the woman you love. If it doesn't work, then she leaves you. And if it does work, you get the woman.
Yep. Well, that's fair enough.
Although you are a rapist, so you gotta live with that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do it, but
no,
I can understand why Gribble might do it.
The only thing he does mess up is that he doesn't read the spell in his mind before he starts reading it out, and he says, "You've misused this verse. No spell. It's a curse." And so Faye is cured, and everyone is covered in itchiness. So the book has cursed them with the power of itchiness.
Itchy bites.
Itchy bites. There's some sort of itchiness.
Mm-hmm.
The itchy fever.
Itch fever.
Dengue. What does dengue fever?
I don't know, something to do with mosquitoes.
Yeah, maybe they have that. Faye, she hates Snapper and his car. She wants to get away from him. And Tony grabs the book. And he's very desperate. He's a very desperate man, Tony Twist. And he's determined to heal Faye, even though she's already healed. And she's saying, "Oh, no, Tony, it's fine. Look, I'm fine now." And he's, no. I need to do this. I need to cast another spell on you so you love me again.
That's stupid.
Yeah, it's very stupid. And Helga...
It shows that it was an act too, kind of.
Yes.
He's moving on, or he's accepting of her.
Helga says, the spells will get worse. Don't do it. It's going to be a curse. And Faye, she tries to stop Tony, but he turns her into a toad by reading her a curse.
What an idiot.
What an idiot indeed. Helga swaps the book for Faye. She says, "I'll give you the toad. You give me the book." And everyone's still itching. And Gribble Sr. snatches back the book and he tries to cure itching with the book. What an idiot. Well, I guess it's a fair assumption. But we've already seen... His assumption is that if you're casting another spell, it's going to override the previous curse.
What would have made more sense is... Basically, it would have been Gribble grabbing the book to try to cure the itches, and then Tony grabbing the book, not thinking, just trying to make Faye fall in love.
Yeah.
Because Gribble grabbing the book, he knows, he can see that reading the curse, reading the things, we know that it transforms people's poems. Or maybe not Gribble, but who could do it? Snapper. Snapper knows about the thing. So he tries to do it as well to try to win Faye back.
Yep.
That turns her into a frog, a toad. And then somebody else, I don't know, Tony tries to do it. It doesn't make any sense. Why you would do it more than twice after you see that every time you read it, it's making it worse. Someone's got to have some brains here. But they don't.
Gribble, he starts to read the book and it says, "All the adults need not cry. It's time now to say bye-bye." And all the adults just bubble away. They're just like bubbling away. And Bronson says, "Dad, where's the pocket money?" Because this is the most important question that you ask as your dad's turning into bubbles.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dad says, "Well, it's actually hidden under the..." And then he bubbles away. So now, for all we know, for all Bronson knows, his dad's dead.
Yep. And he doesn't know where his pocket money is.
Good move, Bronson.
But you know
You
what?
ginger bastard.
Well, you know what, Bronson? Here, little personal advice.
Yes.
If your dad's dead, I'm just assuming he is dead. I don't think he has his wallet on him because he was at his own house. So go up to his nightstand and just grab his wallet. I'm sure there's more pocket money in his wallet than there is actually in the pocket money stash. And he's dead now, so it's yours.
Well, as we learn about a world with no adults...
There's no money either, so it doesn't really matter. Well,
Yes.
at least at this stage, because you'd think there would still be a functioning a currency eventually.
Yes. And maybe it becomes bottle caps.
Maybe.
Helga says every adult ever is now gone to her country. How she knows this, I don't know.
She just does.
She just does.
Which is
magic.
It's fair enough because she's from that magical timeline, so she could come up with things saying... Because maybe this gets explained to them in Viking school or something.
Oh, hey, look, here's the one... this is a special relic, Viking Book of Love, and this is exactly what happens in each of these curses.
The Viking Book of Love, it's just, boom.
Helga, she starts crying because...
Snorri's son will not love her anymore.
Yes. And she also explains to Twist that the parents maybe they'll come back later. But we're not sure.
Of course I'll come back later.
Of course they'll come back later because it's a children's show and you can't just have all your adults die.
And this is an episode where all the parents go missing.
Yes.
And then all the kids go, oh, I love having no parents. Oh, man.
Well, that is exactly what's about to happen because later the children are watching TV and it turns out that every adult in the world is gone and the kids are pretty excited. Now, this happens in a lot of kids shows and kids get really excited when every adult ever is missing.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be that good a deal.
No.
It's like, how is that good?
There's nobody there to do... The problem is kids don't respect what adults do for them, but also they don't really understand that adults do everything.
Yeah.
You know that they go to places to try to buy food, I think, or not buy food, but have like ice cream parlor or something. There needs to be somebody running that generator for the electricity.
Yeah.
There's no adults there, no electricity to run the generator, all the food spoils. No logistics networks, no television. Who's streaming this stuff?
Yeah.
What else is there? There'd be no traffic lights, no cops, no fire department. So when something's set on fire because a kid doesn't know how to do something properly in the kitchen, the whole house burns down. Yeah. No ambulance to save your life. Imagine going to a doctor and a kid's like, oh, we got to take your leg off. And then he cuts like your whole body in half. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the world of kids.
The moral of this episode is do not let children be doctors because that is a horrifying world for all of us.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
The kids...
Except Doogie Howser.
Why?
Doogie Howser, MD.
And that worked out well. The kids are really excited about a world with no adults. And they start saying things like, I can eat lollies without cleaning my teeth. And somebody else says, I can stay up late past my bedtime. And then Gribble, with the line of the episode, says, I can watch X-rated videos.
Yes, you can.
Well, you could probably do that beforehand as long as you don't get caught.
You took it a bit far, mate. But
you did.
Yes, you can.
You took it way too far for a children's show. What were you thinking, Espen Storm, writing this?
Here's the thing I want to point out. You'd have to go to your video store to get them. Right? But if they didn't have any in their nice little video store, you wouldn't be able to get them. And here's why. Because you can't buy X-rated videos in any states. You can only buy them in territories. But you can buy them through the internet. Yeah, rent them.
Because at the video shop that we used to go to as kids, the Network Video down the road, it had this little house.
I remember that.
Like a playhouse, a plastic playhouse. It's like, oh, what's in the plastic playhouse? You walk in there and see things that you could never forget.
I remember someone telling me that it's dumb that they had that plastic playhouse there.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why. Okay. It used to be a restaurant. So that's why they had this little plastic playhouse there for the kids. So then kids would try to walk in there. And I remember a friend of mine saying that her little sister walked in there when she was like really young, and she was much older, and she was like, "Oh no, you're not going there," because she knew what was in there.
I walked in there when
How was a kid not attracted to that?
Well, as kids, we wanted to go in there because we knew we weren't allowed to.
Yeah,
but we were old enough to know that was a thing. If you're like 3 or 4, you're just going to walk in there, but you're going to see things you're not going to know what they are when you're that young. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but that's going to be an awkward conversation. I want to have that.
Yeah, but it's like, if you're 1 or 2 and you can't even, eat your cereal on your own, you're going to walk in there and see, some guy's old fella hanging out and some lady's old fellas sticking out as well. It's like, you're not going to know what that is. It's like, oh, he's got a pee-pee, I've got one too. That's pretty cool. That's the kind of internal dialogue that's happening on that level. His
pee-pee looks like my pee-pee. Sure does. Let's go. Let's leave.
Yeah, let's get out of here. I don't know how they could get away with that, having that in the same room. I don't know.
Well, it's supposed to be
the 90s, hey?
I don't know. Anarchy. I don't know how those systems work, but I think it's just supposed to be a not sealed off section, but a separate section.
Yeah.
They should have just changed. Is a tin of paint that hard? Get rid of some of the paneling. Get rid of that bloody window and just... Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was a window, too.
There was a window, too,
you
that
could see directly in.
So it looked like a kid's clubhouse. So why you'd have it there, I don't know.
The whole thing remains a mystery to me. They eventually took it away. It's not there anymore. That network video is still there, by the way.
It is.
And they do quite well, I believe.
Really?
I used to go there quite a bit, like a couple of years ago, and just get like a bunch of DVDs.
I'm glad they did
because our
well.
internet was too slow to download.
You mean stream online through legal services?
Stream online through legal services. Which,
of course.
Yeah, but now with the advent of Netflix in Australia,
yeah,
it's a lot easier to watch a lot of movies.
Actually, I find with Netflix, I have a real problem with trying to watch a movie or find a movie to watch.
Does buffering give you issues?
No. Like I scroll through and I'm like, I could watch this, but maybe there's something better. And then after seeing like 100 movies, you just get tired because you're just like...
Because you spent an hour and a half trying to choose a movie, and then it's like, I don't have time to watch a movie anymore.
Or it's like, I really don't want to watch them. I don't know, whatever, screw
it. We're getting very sidetracked now.
We are.
Netflix does have an issue with its layout. I think it's very poorly laid out. And I think there needs to be a higher integration of the recommendation function and see what your friends like. I think the star rating system works quite well. Like, if you rate things a lot, it'll start to recommend things that are actually... that you might like.
I like that it guesses your ratings because I hate some of the movies
it's
where
pretty
it's like...
accurate as well.
Yeah, it will be like, so like you'll see on YouTube or you'll see anywhere else, this is 5 stars. I'm like, that's crap. That's a crap movie. But then when you see it on Netflix, it'll be like, I guess best guess is that you'd vote this movie 1 star. And I'd be like, you guessed right. Because it has shit.
Adam Sandler in it.
Adam Sandler is the whatever. Himself and a woman and a cow.
Helga's still sad, and Anthony has an idea. He thinks that he might be a long-lost relation of Helga. This is strange how he came to this. He's like, because you're a Viking and you want to go to England. Most of the people here are white people, so their ancestors come from England. So there's a strong possibility that you might be our ancestor. I think that's grasping at straws.
It would have been better if his last name was of Nordic origins.
Yes.
And he knew that his family did come over through a Viking immigration around about the same time. And it would make sense that he studied up a bit on his history. Now, that means he can't prove that they're the same people, but, there might be a link. There might be a link between her and the tribe. So he as a scientist, he wants to figure out a bit more.
But what's weirder is that he says that everyone in Port Niranda is related to her. How is that genetically possible?
It makes no sense.
The Gribbles are almost definitely German. We should say that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not an arsehole for no genetic reason.
Wow, they've had-mouthed the Germans. Why not?
They invented Hitler. They
invented the Hitler in a lab. Why not?
Yes.
They also invented, a lot of other things.
Volkswagens,
which are great cars.
Fanta.
So they invented Fanta and Volkswagens, and
none
of that VW diesel crap, VW petrol cars. Great, they're fantastic. Good buys. You should buy a VW.
Do you have a VW?
I do have a VW. Thank you for asking.
Anthony, he tries to take some of her hair as a sample, and Helga rips out a braid and just gives it to him. So Anthony takes some of Linda's hair to compare because he's not going to do anything weird with some hair.
And have some of your hair
taken from.
And he puts it on like a Lindo pillow with her face on it. Yeah, I can picture that happening.
Yeah. It puts the lotion in the basket. Or else it gets the hose again. That's the kind of thing going on in Anthony's mind.
I'm just picturing that one, that scene from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that's what I was referencing, yes.
No, the other one. Where he's like, would you fuck me?
In the mirror.
Yeah. But with a picture of Linda's face hovering over. Oh my god, I just realised who that person is.
Who? One of our listeners.
Yeah, one of our listeners, yeah. We jest,
If you've not seen Silence of the Lambs, which I assume everyone has at this point, go and watch it.
It's a good
movie. 4.7 Joes out of 5.
Shit, that's a lot of Joes. Fuck.
Gribble wants to go looting because there's no police, and of course he does. And Helga's sad, and she wants to crush skulls because she can't go back to Snorrison or whatever. I don't know. And so Linda takes her looting as well because what's better to cheer somebody up than go and steal from adults?
Well, it's part of their heritage, Viking heritage, to pillage.
It's in town. There's anarchy. It's bedlam. There's children wearing jester's hats running around with a trolley just looting things. And Gribble and Tiger arrive in Snapper's car.
Yeah.
Tiger, he says, I've had a better ride on an epileptic horse.
Well.
That's a joke.
It's a joke. Good. Make fun of an epileptic horse.
Yeah. Don't be Ableist.
Ableist.
Is that the right ist?
Cisgendered white male oppressor.
I lose track of all the ists. We need to bring back the word bigot.
Bigot.
It needs to be brought back.
Bringing back the bigot.
Bring back the bigot. Because it's too... I lose track of all the ists. It's like, oh, that's racist. That's sexist. That's ageist. That's ableist. It's like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
Don't go around calling people feminists. Just call them bigots.
Just call them all. Yeah, exactly. I see what you did there.
It almost worked as a joke, didn't it?
No, it works as a joke. It's a fine joke, Joe.
The kids are looting everywhere, and Pete arrives in Dad's truck. His dad's truck, not my dad's truck. My dad doesn't have a truck. And I guess it's not really a truck either. It's kind of just a four-wheel drive. And he says he can drive manual, he just can't change gears. I would have thought that's a requirement to drive a manual.
Look, how old are these kids? They're 13 and 14?
Yeah.
Come on.
You think they would have been able to work out... No, yeah, I don't know, 13, yeah.
Oh, when I was 13 and 14, I knew how to start a manual car, and I knew how to change gears. I didn't do it. Yeah, but
you also knew how to steal it.
No, I didn't know how hot... Like,
growing up in the hood of Red Bank Plains.
Growing up in the hood of Red Bank Plains, you had to steal cars to survive. No, like, you knew how to change gears, you just didn't do it very well as a kid. I mean, maybe if you were born on the farm, you probably know how to drive a manual pretty well, because I feel like farm kids always know how to drive cars.
Yeah, because they drive them they drive them around.
Yeah.
That's what they do. You go to a farm, it's just children driving around in circles in cars. That's what they do there. It's like, where are your animals? What animals? This is a farm. We just have children that drive around in cars.
we farm children.
Yeah, we farm children.
In cars.
That's why they all know each other.
Yeah.
All the farm people. Oh yeah, I grew up on the farm.
That is true. That's what they do.
The farm is not saying the farm that I grew up on. It's saying the farm, like a singular farm.
A singular farm where all farm kids come from. Yeah.
Fiona says, oh, look how happy everyone is, to Helga, because she's still sad. She says, oh, but I have to get home by sunset. And Pete says, well, I'll get you a watch so you can keep track of the time, because, sunset's not incredibly obvious with a change in light.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the Gribble gang show up, and Rabbit is sad about his parents going missing, as you should be, but the others convince him to do some looting and forget about it, because it's incredibly irresponsible. The twists, Fiona and Helga have a clothes shopping montage because,
that hasn't been overdone.
Why not?
That hasn't been done in every single movie ever where kids are given free reign over something. Kids are trapped in a mall all night. What are they going to do? Oh, no, let's try on clothes. And then it's a montage of them trying on clothes.
Kids,
usually it's women wearing clothes, but then it's also some men wearing, they'll come out with silly clothes. And then it'll be, the girls will come out with their silly clothes and they don't know what to wear. And then the boys will be eating from there'll be one fat kid who's in the food court trying out all the food, and eventually he's underneath an ice cream machine and it's just going in his mouth and stuff. It's been done. I
was going to write down what everyone tried on, but honestly, you can just go and look it up.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. Well, I think I took it down from YouTube. It's on Netflix and Stan.
It's taken down by a scumbag company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know all about that. But you can go and track that down because, honestly, it's not worth your time.
It's not. It isn't.
It was boring.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I seeing here? I don't know. Helga, she wears motorbike leather, and she says, all Viking girls will wear leather, so I don't think Snorrison's going to be impressed. So cut to the beach, Gribbles are eating just tubs of ice cream, and Helga shows up in a dress, and they're impressed with her, because,
she's wearing a dress now.
13-year-old boys are impressed with girls that wear dresses.
I guess.
Everyone has dressed up. I'll quickly go through what the costumes that everyone's wearing for the rest of the episode. Tiger's wearing a Kiss outfit. Not dressed like he's been kissed by a giant set of lips, but, Kiss the band.
Yeah.
Rabbit is dressed like a 1950s greaser. Pete is dressed in a tuxedo.
I like that tuxedo.
Bronson's in his raccoon hat, an American Explorer. I thought it was pretty good. Fiona's dressed like a slapper, and Linda's dressed like a Chinese...
A slapper?
Yeah, slapper.
You mean it's not a slapper, it's a flapper.
Flapper?
It's a flapper or a slapper?
Flapper. Probably flapper.
I think that's a flapper, yeah.
What's a slapper? Is that something really rude?
I think it's someone... Yeah, I don't know. It's when you slap someone.
As long as it's not with a turkey.
Yes.
Linda's wearing a Chinese dress, and I think that's all covered. Tiger's... Gribble's just wearing clothes.
Because he has no imagination.
Bronson, he misses his parents because he's hungry, and he wants somebody to make him dinner. Helga, she expresses her need to go to the cliff before sunset, but nobody wants to help her because they're all preoccupied with doing their own weird stuff.
Yeah.
Anthony, he just rocks up and he's like, hey, everyone, we've all got jeans in common. And Bronson says, so what? Everyone wears jeans. But Anthony says that he thinks that everyone's related to Helga, because for reasons that we discussed earlier. And if Helga and Snorrison don't hook up, then everyone here will cease to exist.
Doesn't make
because
sense,
of logic that he's just come up with on the fly.
We just talked about that already.
Everyone, they rush to the cliff because, they want to go on existing. Because I presume they don't want Back to the Future to happen to them, where they just slowly start to fade away. And they rock up to the cliff. And Helga's looking for this big magnet rock, which has been destroyed, which I assume is the big cliff at the beginning. A lot of the stuff in this episode, it doesn't cognitively flow. You're like, wait, what are you doing? Oh, that's the thing from earlier?
Yeah.
Well, what's this magnet rock?
What's going on? Oh, you mean that thing over there? Oh, yep. Wait, hang on, what? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Helga needs lightning to strike the rock to make the bridge. And Gribble says, hey, listen, there's no chance of lightning today, and a lightning storm just starts happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Thor is coming to bless her, I guess.
Thor needs...
The whole Thor thing was just weird and tacked on.
Well, the Thor thing, what is it? Lightning needs... What is it? It's not a... It's a Chekhov's gun?
Yeah.
In order to have...
Chekhov's Thor, yeah. In order to have, the climax have tension in the climax, where you need to get the storm over here, right? We need to set up that the storm is essential. And since it's Norse, well, you can't have a storm or a thunderstorm without referencing Thor, because then people will go, hang on, what about Thor? Is Thor real? What's the deal? Aren't these Vikings? So then they had to have Thor because he's the god of thunder. Everyone thinks of Thor when they think of Vikings.
Well, when they think of Viking thunderstorms, they do.
I don't see the connection.
You don't see the connection between Vikings and
I see the
thunderstorms?
connection, but I don't think that everyone would be like, oh, where's Thor?
I would. I'd be like, where's Thor? You left Thor out of this movie.
You Marvel brainwashed plebeian.
Bloody go Thor, and he spins his hammer and it kills people.
Helga apologizes to Thor, and she says, I just want everyone to bring lightning to me. Because that's how you do it.
How do you do it? How do you get the lightning? Well, hang on. Isn't the lighthouse a giant lightning rod?
Well, this is what I thought, because Bronson says, we need a lightning magnet. And I was like, oh, they're just going to go to the lighthouse. But no.
They don't.
Anthony hooks up a car with batteries, with a bunch of car batteries. I don't know if this actually is scientifically accurate, by the way. He hooks them up around Snapper's car to create a magnetic field, which apparently attracts lightning. I don't know if this would work. It might work.
I don't know. I feel like you'd need... It could work, maybe, but I feel like you wouldn't get enough power out of, those car batteries.
There was, 10 car batteries.
Yeah, that's a
lot of power.
That's 120 volts.
I don't know. I'm no electrologist.
Each car battery has 12 volts in it, Joe.
Okay.
But if you have 10, you can have 120 volts at max, and that's assuming that there isn't any resistance in the line. I know shit all about engineering, but I can tell you, your wall outlets have twice the amount that you would get from that. So
just hook it up to the wall.
Yes, hook it up to the wall. Get Bronson to stick a fork in the wall.
Yeah, because that's going to turn out well.
Helga will turn out well for us.
Helga puts the little rock thing that she had that I thought was a diamond ring. Look, this whole thing, I don't know. Anyway, she puts it on the car and lightning comes down and creates the bridge. And Helga thanks Thor and the children, and she says, I will find love, even if it's not Snorrison. I will create you. You will be my children. And she hugs them all, because it's not creepy at all. And then Snorrison arrives for Helga, and he says, where you go? And she says, none your business. And then they just have a domestic in the middle of this bridge. And Helga says, you lower than dog. I not even spit on you. I think I'm going to say that to my significant other next time. And
you lower than dog.
That goes.
I spit on you. And I bite my thumb at you.
I not even spit on you.
I not even spit on you.
Yeah. What's she going to do next? Bite her thumb at him?
Yeah, well, she could. She has to go into another century in order to do that.
And Snorrison says, "You not leave me again, unless I." And she says, "Or else what?" And he says, "I'd be very sad and die of broken heart." And Grib says,
"It's really
Vikings,
touching, isn't it?
Vikings are pretty smooth," which I guess you could take that away if you're an idiot. And the adults return over the bridge wearing Viking clothes, because apparently they've had this Viking adventure that's gone on for who knows how long.
Yeah.
And they've all taken up Viking roles. And Helga and Snorrison take the car from Snapper, and Snapper is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But the other adults hate him because, he sent them into Viking land. And so he just lets them take the car and then drive it through the bridge.
And historians will be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, and Pontillo's written in, and he says, although I'm more than happy for Snorrison and Helga to take Ralph's car back to the 8th century after what he did to Faye.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much use it's going to be to them after it runs out of fuel, as petrol won't be available till the 20th century. That's a lot of centuries to wait.
Reminded me of that scene from Greece as well, the ending.
I thought so as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was very much the Greece ending. And the lighthouse, we're back there, and everyone is there for whatever reason, and Tony's feeding Frog Faye. He's feeding her fleas.
Yeah.
And Nell tells Tony to kiss the frog because she knows everything, and Tiger commentates, but everyone tells him to shut up.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
That's what they do. They just hate on Tiger all of a sudden.
Tony kisses the frog. Faye returns. Tony asks her to marry him, which, let's just stop here for a second. Tony asks Faye to marry him. This is the third season in a row.
3 times, same episode as well as the last one.
Every season finale, there's a proposal.
They never get married. It's bullshit.
What is going on here?
It's all...
I thought we solved this last season.
It's all about the rocky relationship between Tony and Faye.
Like, what is going on here? Get married or don't get married? I don't care. I'm just sick of hearing about it, quite honestly.
That's what Harold's thinking.
So, but hang on. They were living together in this episode.
Yeah.
So they were living in sin.
Exactly.
They're living in their den of sin. Their lighthouse of sin.
Well, the thing is, like, as a stoned artist, I don't think it really matters to him.
Yeah. He's too busy on the bong.
Too busy on the bong to be caring about that sort of thing.
Faye, she still speaks like a bit of a frog. She can't answer his question. Tony says, say yes or no. And Faye just kisses him. And that's the end of the episode. Everyone appears in front of the lighthouse. And they say, see you next time. And,
we haven't seen that again.
So, my last question is... Oh, I have 2 questions. Why do the cast need to appear in front of the lighthouse and say, see you next time every time? At the end of every season?
I feel like they did it once, and so then...
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition.
And 2, does Faye just speak like a frog now for the rest of time?
No. Just go with it, is what they'd say. But I'd say, that's really confusing, but just go with it.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode. Any thoughts?
Nope. I thought this finale was kind of okay, but it was basically... It was a rehashing of old finales, and it was the idea was cliche.
Cool. What would you give it?
I gave it 5 bowls of X-rated spaghetti.
All right, let's hear from Pontillo, the great man, the pontificate himself, and he says, this episode didn't have much going on in terms of subplots, but I suppose being a series finale, its main purpose was to tie up loose ends. Enjoyable to watch and wrapped up the series well, I felt, although it would have been entertaining to watch everyone kiss at the end, like in the Season 2 finale. Tony and Faye, Harold and Matron, Pete and Fiona, James and Linda, Rabbit and Nell. Lol jokes. Oh, you tricky trickster. And he says he's giving it 8 out of 10 bowls of chocolate ice cream. His parents weren't home to make spaghetti for him as they were temporarily sent back to the 8th century. That's a good one. That's a good one. And he says, thanks guys for giving him the opportunity to collaborate with us through season 3. And he hopes that we've enjoyed his feedback as much as he's enjoyed writing it. He says, have a twisty new year and you can expect me back for pontifications of season 4 of Around the Twist. Thank you very much, Pontillo. We'd like to take a moment to thank you as well.
Yes,
being there every episode of Around the Twist, pontificating, making our job a little bit easier. You know, always having things to say, giving us things to talk about. It's great.
Probably the best parts of the episode.
Going through your notes right before we record is one of the highlights of the Tales from the Twist's experience.
Yeah, like I write in my notes sometimes, geez, I hope Pontillo picked that up, because I didn't.
And he often does.
Exactly, that's why I'm like, yes.
Yeah, some of his stuff has like been better than anything that we've come up with. Yeah, remember that time he came up with the Bible passage and correlating with the time code of the episode? That was my favourite.
That was a good one.
That was very good. I only wish we were that good.
Well, we can only try.
I would like to rate the episode 3 out of 10 bowls of Viking spaghetti.
What makes it so Viking?
Because it's from the 8th century.
There you go.
Because apparently the 8th century exists only for Vikings.
Well, you know, it's true. It only exists for Vikings and... Yeah, Vikings. I can't think of any other group. Japanese people?
No, maybe? They weren't around in the 8th century. It was only Vikings.
Only Vikings.
Very clearly.
Even in China, there were Vikings.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No.
Okay. Well, the only thing left to talk about is how you can find us on social media.
You can find us On social media, first off, you can go to our Facebook on Tales from the Twists. And, obviously go there. But on Facebook as well, you can join Chicken Twisties, where you can collaborate with us. Just like our Regan Pontillo has done, you can send in your own pontifications on upcoming episodes. And also, if you want it as well for the Captain Planet episodes. There's also, find us on Twitter at TFT Twists. And YouTube, Tales from the Twists. Although YouTube, that's not right now. We have some problems with copyright disputes. Yeah, we do. I think I brought it up.
You've talked about it on multiple occasions.
Well, I'm very annoyed about it, but hey, whatever. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. That's a great big deal. I like that. So subscribe to us on iTunes and give us a rating. That would be awesome.
That's the best way that you can help us.
Oh, without a doubt. The best way is just saying, yes, I'll subscribe, or alternatively just giving a rating if you don't like using Apple because they're Apple and it's like, pfft, I get that. I feel you, homies. So you don't need to do that.
Yep.
But lastly, you can go to our website at talesfromthetwist.wordpress.com, or you can send us the message directly via talesfromthetwist@gmail.com or through our direct message service on Facebook.
That's everything we have to talk about.
That is indeed.
Thank you very much for staying with us through all of seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Around the Twist. And next week we'll be back with the Captain Planet episode, but the week after that we'll be doing our season 3 recap episode. And then for a few of the Captain Planet, a few of the Around the Twist episodes after that, we're doing something a little bit different. We'll be doing some extra stuff that you can read about on the Tales from the Twist Facebook page.
Yes, you can.
So if you want to know what's coming up, read about it there. Also, Chicken Twisties. There'll be extra details there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, sure, why not?
Go for it.
And that's all. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks again, Pontillo. You're a great man.
Yes.
We love you in a very platonic way.
Yes, in a platonic way.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everyone else that's pontificated as well.
Thanks to the Twisties, the Chicken Twisties, all of you, our listeners out there, everyone. It was great.
Yeah, I hope to see you all back for next week's episode where we do our recap and do some weird stuff.
And we talk funny, I don't know, maybe.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
My name is Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
Have a great week. Stay twisty.